Good morning and welcome to today's session on multi-day tours. I have the honor to hold a short 10-minute keynote as an introduction to the topic, which will then be followed by a panel discussion together with Brian from G Adventures and Travis from TourRadar. Multi-day tours have long been a little bit the neglected child of the industry, but they have actually been around forever, and they have also been important forever. Traditionally, in the catalogs of tour operators, there have been three distinct types of multi-day tours. We had group tours of various group sizes. We had fixed private tours with fixed programs that people could just pretty much book off the shelf, and all the rest was just called tailor-made. Even in those times, customers actually combined various of those elements to a bigger program. For example, a 4-day group program followed by a private program, or the other way around. This was just always done manually, either by an agent or by an end customer. In recent years, and I'm also talking pre-COVID here, there have been a few consumer trends that have started to take an influence also on this segment of multi-day tours. The first one is the ever-increasing focus on experiences. So we're now at a point where the majority of travelers says that experiences are a bigger part of the trip than any material luxury they could have in their vacation. But it's not only about experiences, it's actually about personalized and meaningful experiences that in the eye of a significant majority, in the end, define their trip. And the third, little bit unrelated trend is that there is actually a growing number of people who would not want to book the different elements of their trip in different shops or in different sites, but actually have a one-stop shop where they can get everything they need for their travel. The industry has already started to react to some of those trends. For example, what we've seen in the industry recently is a trend towards much more private offerings. This is also a result of the pandemic. So we've seen smaller group sizes across the board, and we've also seen much more private tours being booked in the industry. One interesting aspect to monitor here going forward will be how much of these changes have actually been temporary and which part of it is a longer term trend that is going to stay around. Now, what we have also seen in the industry more and more in recent years is that tour operators have also started to sell ready-made extension options for their tours, both to group tours and to private tours. So you have much more city stays, beach stays, and also optional excursions that can be booked by the customers together with the main tour in an easy way. And this is also being used. For example, one of our customers in Germany, Gebeco, told me that pre-pandemic, there were already almost 15% of customers booking an extension to their tour right together with the tour, and that this number has actually been growing over the years and is expected to grow further in the future. Now, speaking about the future, what is it going to bring? We have three predictions on the future of multi-day tours. They're not terribly surprising because they're also a logical consequence of a lot of things we have talked about, but the consequences of these predictions are actually interesting enough to take a closer look at them. So what our crystal ball is saying is, first of all, the segment of multi-day tours will further grow in the future. Second prediction, and probably the least surprising, is there will be even more automation coming also to multi-day tours. And the third one is that we're not done with personalization, but that it will actually get much further in the future. Looking at growth, we strongly believe that there will be more multi-day tours being booked in the future than in the past. And we believe that for three reasons. The first of them is that what the majority of industry experts actually agree on when talking about post-COVID travel predictions is that people will do less trips in the future, but longer ones. This is related to all the travel restrictions that we unfortunately had to get used to recently, but also, for example, because of a bigger focus on sustainability. So people will think more about flying far away just for 1 or 2 days and will actually rather prefer to, when they fly, spend much more time in the destination. And the third reason is what we said before, meaningful experiences. The most meaningful and lasting experiences are actually those that last more than 1 day. And this is also another reason why we see a big future in multi-day tours. Speaking about automation, this is pretty much the no-brainer of the group, but it's actually accentuated also because of the increased need of personalization. So multi-day tours will not only be automated because everything is getting more automated now, but this increased need for personalization also adds a lot of complexity to the product. And if we as an industry don't want more work as a result of it, then technology will have to be the cure and make the processes more efficient again. In the area of personalization, we see 3 elements that we see coming into play much more. The first one is more modularity. We talked about the extension options before. They are already a fact, but we actually see this going much further. And we see a big potential in the market in the future when customers will be able to easily take and combine individual building blocks to the tour they want. And the keyword here is easy or simple, because this will only fly when the providers have figured out a way to offer this in a very easy to use way. But then there will be a very big potential in this. Another trend that's here to stay is flexibility. It has been taken to an extreme now during the pandemic, because right now you really only know whether you're going to depart when the airplane is going to take off. But it's also part of a longer term trend that consumers will expect more room for adaptations of their plans, both pre-departure and while traveling. And the industry will have to embrace that as much as possible and provide seamless possibilities to do these things. And individuality is pretty much clear, because we see it in the industry today. Tour operators are more and more looking for those unique and very defining experiences that create a long-lasting memory with their customers. There is one last aspect that I would like to talk about before hopping over to the panel, and it's at the intersection between personalization and automation. It's the question which role technology will actually play here. I've been in many discussions where the topic was how much of the whole process will have to be or should be automated with technology. Should it be everything, including the complete planning, or should that not be the case? Now, we at Nezasa, we have a very clear opinion on this. We think that not all of it should be automated. And to explain this, I usually like to draw an analogy to my hobby as a sailor, because when I go sailing, then there are a few things that I inherently love to do. For example, trimming the sail, steering the boat, and just being on deck. There are other things that I don't like so much, like spending a lot of time with navigation or digging out weather reports. So I use a lot of technology to actually relieve me of those things. Now, when it comes to travel, we see that people actually love planning their travel. So we don't think that the purpose is to create an AI that tells me you're Manuel and this is the trip you should do, but the technology should actually assist me in doing this as easily and enjoyably as possible. And what we have to automate away with technology is just all of those nuisances, all of those things that the travelers don't enjoy across the whole journey, so that they can focus more on the things that they love. Having said that, I'm very much looking forward to further hear also the opinions of of the other panelists, like Davies from TourRadar and Brian from G Adventures afterwards. And I hope that all of you stay on the line and listen in a minute. Thank you very much.